Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Camp Shack Productions. I don't know about y'all, but it is super hot here in Utah. And it seems like it's either super hot or you're getting dumped on with rain all over the United States right now. So sit back, grab a frosty beverage, and let's talk about 5 things that you can do to make your camping experience better. Man, it's so hot here. All right, tip number 1. You need to know the kind of trip you're going on. Is it the kind of trip where you're going to need specialized equipment? Is it a family camping trip? Do you have kids? Are you taking your own vehicle? Are you riding with somebody else? These are all super important things to figure out first, because that's really going to kind of shape how you put together your gear. And what I mean by that is there is not a one size fits all, right? If you're going with a buddy and you're trying to squeeze into a small space because you're all sharing a ride and there's 4 of you and you're going on a backpack trip, that's completely different than you taking your rig, having everything you need and going for a family outing. So again, you just have to determine, what kind of trip is it? Do you need special equipment? Do you need a raft? Do you need boating supplies? Do you need climbing gear? Who knows? But that is step number 1. Figure out what it is, where you're going to be, the space you have, and start from there. Super simple. All right, y'all. So tip number 2 that I have for you is bins. Figure out and organize your bins. And what I mean by that is there is a bin for everything, and everything should go inside of a bin. I am super partial to locking lid bins. I think that they are really helpful. I think that they really make life easy, especially when it gets super windy. But I'm also not opposed to using the old Rubbermaid rubberneck. These are pretty standard. This one right here that I have is the one that I use for kind of my light kitchen, I would say. Backpacking stoves, small pots, things like that. Everything in there is something that I can either move or just grab this if I'm taking my own rig, or put into a different bin. So that's what I mean by this whole thing. This bin right here is my mega camp bin. This is where I keep everything that I would use if I was going to go on a huge trip, right? If I was going to go car camping, I had my own rig. Everybody was going to be taking nice setups. This has my stove inside of it. It has my big pot set. It's where I keep my dock kits. And if you haven't watched my hacks video, my 5 hacks, click this link and go watch that video once you're done with this. I'll leave it in the description as well. It's a really good video, and I talk about using different things, dock kits, things like that, welding gloves. This is all just my mega camp bin. So if I'm going family camping or something like that, you know, this is the bin that I'm going to grab every single time. And it works super duper well. This right here, this is my main, I don't know, I would say like camping bin, right? This is an 8-gallon action packer. It's got the locking lid, and pretty much anytime I'm going someplace, I am taking this bin. Wow, it's so hot, y'all. This is the one that, you know, it's going to shift gear sometimes, right? But even if I'm just going with my buddies and I'm only bringing this and my tent and my sleeping bag and my backpack, this is going to go in their car. I'm going to slide it in and find someplace to stick it. You know, inside of this, I have something like my Wise Owl tarps. I always have my water filtration kit. That's what this is. My Trekology pillow, you know, my bushcrafting knife, my cheap Walmart, do everything, don't worry if I break or lose, bushcrafting knife. You know, I've got a hatchet in here somewhere, you know, my hatchet. So again, this is just stuff that I always want to make sure that I have. So this bin is the core, and it's almost 100% of the time, unless my buddy's like, dude, all you can bring inside my car, because there's 4 of us and I only have a trunk, is your backpack. And it's got to be packed and it's got to be ready to go. But otherwise, this thing goes everywhere. Every single time I go on a trip, this bin is going with me. All right, let's talk about bonus tips. First of all, I always have an empty bin. So that way, if I need to shift things around, if I need to adjust for the trip that I have, whatever, I have that. These 8-gallon action packers are stellar. They don't get too heavy. They work really well. You can have your kids move them around, and you don't have to worry about them just being too much like this huge 50-gallon action packer. I mean, it's so massive. All right, bonus tip number 2. For all of your food, use a clear bin. As you can see, I've got a bunch of clear bins that I like to use. But when you're on a trip and you have everybody and you can see through your bin and you can see what's in there, you can look through the sides and be like, oh, the nuts that I want are on that side. It's just a lot less leaving lids open, and it's just a lot more of making things super easy to see and know what you're going to get. It's kind of the old, don't open the refrigerator door and stare at it. Know what you want and go get it first. That's kind of the way I look at this, and this thing comes in clutch all the time. All right, last bin, promise. Try to make this quick. I don't want to make this video too long. This is my other utility bin. This is my Coho box that I picked up at Costco. And I think that that's also a great video. If you haven't checked it out, go check out my basically camping and overlanding things that you can pick up at Costco. It's super cool, actually. This is a bin that I shift out a lot, Right now I have it set up to be a food bin because, again, it's locking, it's got a rubber seal, and I can shift this thing around. I can also put my small kitchen. I can move some of this gear into this if I want a really solid small box. My buddy took his box just like this on our river trip, and he just strapped it into the boat. And because it's got the rubber seal and it's locking, it was super, super nice for him to basically just be able to have a camp kitchen, and it provided all of us with a really nice chair. So, like I said, there's a box for everything. Everything should go inside of a box. Super useful. Don't forget this stuff. All right, tip number 3, have a bag for everything. And I mean a bag for everything. And get creative. So for example, this bag right here is one that I use inside of my bin. I put it in my camp bins, and I have Ziploc bags. I have garbage bags. I just keep everything inside of a bag. My dog kits. My coffee set is inside of, this is a percolator and 4 coffee cups. I keep it in a bag. So that way, when I'm trying to get into my bins, I'm not pulling out individual things, right? And not everything is going to fit in a bag, but, this bag right here is my stakes. This is where I keep some extra cordage, a bunch of big, tent stakes so that I can strap things down or bury them in the sand if I need to. This is all the stuff that I would need that if I was going to go on a overnight and I wanted to be able to rig my tarp. This is all the cordage that I need. My ridgeline, everything is right inside of this bag. Stuff sacks. You can never have enough of them. This is like a power converter to turn everything to a DC from a 12 volt so you can plug in, and it plugs into your car. So even in my car, I keep all this kind of stuff in a bag. So that way it stays safe. My water purification, my pillow, I use DOP kits for all kinds of things. Toilet kits are some of the most useful things ever. Steak bags. If you don't have anything fancy, just a good old Ziploc bag. So that way when you're rummaging through your bins and you need to find your kitchenware, you know that it's all in one spot and you're not randomly throwing things all over the place. I picked this up at a local thrift store for $4. It's a really cool duffel. I use it to clip in between my seats so my dog can't get through, and we put snacks in here when we're on a road trip, and it hangs off of my headrest in between the 2 seats. And again, it was $4. So really, bin for everything in a bag that goes inside the bin, save you a ton of time. Really, make sure that you have a bin and bags and keep it organized so you're not just throwing individual stuff out when you're trying to find things in your cook bins. Pots come in a bag. Tip number 4, I would recommend using frozen water bottles, not ice, in your coolers anymore. I had a comment after my last video on tips where I kind of showed some dirty water on my celery, and Someone said, why don't you freeze water bottles? And I actually did an unscientific, scientific video on the best way to keep your ice and your cooler cold. I'll leave a link for that also in the description if you want to watch it after this. But I found that water bottles are one of the best ways to keep your cooler cold. So, you know, these are super cheap. You can reuse them. I have a bunch of these little bottles that before a trip, I will go and freeze, or I just have a bunch of them in my freezer right now. They're just out. So I'll freeze a bunch of those. If I was going to take something like a big old jug of country lemonade or something that won't explode, freeze it. Then you have ice and it stays really cold. So that way when you're drinking the lemonade and you're pouring it out, and if you're going to serve it, just put it out in the sun. But this is super, super, oh, it's so nice. It's so hot. Super simple way to keep things cool. And I'd highly recommend it. You know, this works just as well as a block of ice, but when it melts, you have water that you can drink as well. So use water bottles instead of ice. And you know, if you want to have ice so that you can put ice in your drinks, just get the bag and just keep it in the bag. And that way you can just reach in and get clean ice and, you know, use it that way. But water bottles, super good tip. I agree. Whoever left me that comment, I can't remember your name right now. I'm sorry, but thank you for leaving the comment first of all, and totally agree. Tip number 5, and what I think is one of the most important tips that I have for you, and that is build an epic poop kit. What I mean by that is you can do the old school Ziploc, you know, toilet paper, some hand sanitizer, basic poop kit, right? This totally will get you by and will totally work. But if you're anything like my friends, they all ask for this thing every time we go out. This is my epic poop kit. And I really mean it. This is a super, really nice thing to do. Again, I have a big roll of ultra strong Charmin. The stuff that doesn't tear on a bear's ass, so hopefully it doesn't tear on ours, right? I have a full Ziploc bag of wet wipes. Wet wipes come in super handy. You can use them all over the place. Baths, cleaning your car, cleaning your tent, wiping down all kinds of things. Wet wipes are good to have. But I have a huge thing of wet wipes. I keep hand sanitizer and rubber gloves just in case somebody has a major accident, somebody gets sick. You need to protect yourself. Getting sick from basically dirty, poopy hands is really common for people in the backcountry. So taking your poop kit seriously is really important. This is my backcountry bidet. I also have a video on basically saying, is the bidet the way? Kind of like, I think it is, man. This thing just goes into a water bottle and it'll give you a really clean thing. Trigger warning ahead, viewer discretion advised. If your swamp ass scares you, don't listen to this. But if you suffer from swamp ass, get a bidet. It's wonderful. All right, finally, I have a U-Dig. This is an actual real shovel. This is the thing that we use all the time. And again, I have an epic poop kit. So that anytime you have to do number 2 in the wilderness, and it's gonna happen, you know, regardless of whether you have let's see, a groover, or if you have like a portable toilet, or if you have to use some sort of wag bag or something like that, having an epic poop kit is really, really helpful when it comes to being outdoors. And it makes things really comfortable. And you can just toss this on the ground, do your business, and then everything you need to clean up is right here. So, epic poop kit. Don't skip out on the shit kit. Sorry, YouTube. It's 104 degrees inside of here. It's so hot. So, let's get you guys through the final thoughts here. Again, I think it's super duper important to understand that if you spend some time at home organizing and you plan, your camping adventures will be much better. You don't have to go in any of the directions I said, but even if, again, you go to simple things like Ziploc bags inside of a box, if that's all you have, but these are things that if you're a serious camper and you want to step up your game, these will really definitely help you. And again, there's a bin for everything. Put stuff inside of a bag, inside of a pouch, you know, utilize the tools to organize that you have provided. Instead of using ice, use frozen water bottles. Build an epic poop kit. And most importantly, know and plan your adventure. Know where you're going, know what you're going to be doing. That way you can bring all the right stuff. You know, don't get caught in the middle of the desert with a hammock where there's no trees to hang it. All right, so just spend a little time researching. Google's an amazing tool, it'll help you out. And y'all, I really appreciate you making it to this part of the video. Thanks for sticking around. If you enjoyed the video, please go hit the like button. If you're feeling super generous, subscribe. Otherwise, I will see all of you next week. Be well, my friends. Wow, next video. Hopefully, I can get outside and actually go camping. But it's so hot. I don't like it. It's too hot. Too hot. I apologize right now for the sweat. Wow. All right, I'll stop complaining about how hot it is.